Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, and this is part 2 of our Christmas Cuties pad smash. So in the first video we made a bunch of cards, just really regular cards, just cutting up the patterned paper and the coloured card and using the toppers. And basically now what we've got left is our scraps, and you can see I'm just roughly sorting them by size here. We have the thinner strips, which are 1 inch. We've got just some offcuts from pieces. We have sort of bigger chunks here as well. So just a real mishmash. So if you've got a lot of scraps like this, I find the easiest way to sort of start is to just kind of organize what you've got. And what we're going to be doing is making our own patterned paper to cut up. And we're going to do 3 different ways. I can't remember what we actually get done in this particular video because there is a part 3 to this as well. So I think we do 2 in this video. I can't remember. Different sort of styles of almost like little patchwork really. So I got a piece of white card, you can see here. I got a piece of double-sided adhesive, so a full A4 sheet. And you can see I've stuck it on and just peeled halfway back, or not halfway, probably about a quarter of the way back, just because I've got a little woolly jumper on and I keep putting my hand down, so I know it's going to stick down. So the easiest thing to do is literally just to peel back a little bit at a time for what you need it to be. I've taken, these are 1 inch strips. This is what I cut up from the first video. So within one of the packs, the like embellishment pack, it has pages where you just have these 1 inch strips of the different patterned paper going in different directions as well. So you have some horizontal, some vertical. And so I've just taken these, planning to try and use up as many of these as possible. And I've started with, I was going for sort of a herringbone type of pattern here, but I kind of just started putting stuff down, to be perfectly honest with you. But the beauty of this is that we're going to be trimming this down and we're going to be making a few DL size cards. So it really doesn't matter what it looks like as a full A4 sheet, because we are going to be trimming it down and you're going to have sort of different crisscrosses in different sections. So I'm just trying to, because I think it's only 4 different patterned papers, I'm trying to kind of give them a little bit of space here. I'm not too worried whether it is horizontal or vertical stripe. I'm just sort of going with it, to be honest with you. Some of these I probably could have cut down to get more of that herringbone kind of design. But yeah, like I said, I just sort of went for it, sticking them down. And this is a really great way of using your scraps because, again, it doesn't have to be perfect. I do have a few like gaps in here where it's not gone down perfectly. But again, because we're cutting this up, it really just doesn't matter what it looks like as an entire sheet. Like I said, just kind of go with it and yeah, just really see what you get. So then I'm going to trim this down. So you can see I've turned it over. We're just going to trim this down to the A4 size here, and then we can look at trimming this down to fit our card bases. So I went with the DL size because I had a couple of the card bases there to use, and I thought, well, I could get more cards out of the panel if I did it that way rather than sort of doing like a 6x6 card again or a 5x7, which is some of the other card bases I had. So I thought, well, I could just get a little bit more out of this piece, and then I wanted to use some of the sentiments here as well. So yeah, I just thought that was a little bit more appropriate for getting most out of these sheets. Then I was going to do it again. This was, I think that was the last full adhesive sheet that I had. So this one, you can see, you saw when I was putting it down, there was like a chunk out of it. I literally just got some double-sided tape and yeah, just went with it, put it down, filled up that gap. And this one we're going to do kind of a in rows, really, to be honest with you. We're going to pick different strips. I did end up using the same patterned papers together, so like the flower and the snowflakes, they were always next to each other, and then the stripe and the creatures were always next to each other. And then I just picked up some of the smaller pieces off the side. Some of them I do like 3 bits, like you can see here, and then others I just did the 2. There was one occasion on here I think I did the wrong one, like I didn't do the snowflake, I did the creatures one instead, but again, it's going to be cut up and you're really not gonna know. So this is another really easy one to do. Again, just peel off your adhesive top sheet and just literally get a stick in, cut off some of the excess to use in different sections. And again, super easy. So you can make this as easy or as complicated as of a design as you like, and I still think they look really effective. You've got all these little pieces on here. Again, you could do this with tiny pieces if you wanted to. You could make patterns with this. We've still got the plain cardstock left, which I'm going to use in the third. I think that one is in the separate video, but I bring in the coloured card with that one as well. You could just do the coloured card, and like I said, like do proper patterns. Like if you're into sort of quilting and stuff as well, you could follow those sort of designs on there as well. So it's a really great way of using up your scraps and making some of your own patterned paper like this. Yeah, I love how these turned out. So again, I didn't put toppers on these. I just ended up putting a sentiment because I think they were quite busy as they were already. And then the toppers that I had were the normal toppers I had in the first video were too big for the DL size cards. And then, yeah, to be honest, I just didn't want to cover it up really. So this is the second piece. And then so I'm just measuring my DL card bases here. Again, a little bit of a funny size. So I think I cut this down to like 3 3/4, possibly a little bit smaller. And then I did by 8 inches then as well, which gave me a really nice border. Again, that white border. So I didn't mat and layer this onto some of the coloured card because this is 8 inches. I wouldn't obviously have been able to cut that from, I'd have had to cut this smaller to get a matte and layer for it, and then I just didn't have that much cardstock left over, so I just left it. But yeah, I really love how these are. So I managed to get 3 with just a tiny bit left over, you can see there. But yeah, 3 of these. I do love these, to be honest with you. Again, making your normal cards to begin with, like I said in the first video, and then really using your scraps gets you a bit more creative, gets you thinking a little bit more. But definitely making your own patterned papers is a really great way of doing this. My third video, those cards I did more of a block pattern, and I really loved how that came out as well. Again, a few gaps and things, but I tried really hard not to have any gaps. Obviously you don't want gaps in it, but yeah, it worked really well. And I think it looks a little bit more Christmassy. That kind of patchwork I think works really nicely. As you can see, I'm just looking at the toppers here. So I have these smaller ones, but I do honestly just think they're so busy that I just stuck with the sentiments. So again, I don't know if you've put a comment in the first video to see how many cards we're making. So we're going to make 6 in this one because obviously we had the 2 panels, the 2 pages, and we cut those into 3. I didn't bother matte and layering these either because obviously they are coloured already, but I just picked out the main Christmassy ones, and I did then the bigger sentiments on here as well. So I did say in the last one that I was going to keep all of these sentiments as well, just for future. You've got lots of Christmassy ones in here, but you have some normal ones in here as well. But yeah, I just went for the real Christmassy ones on all of the cards for this. They all had like the proper, very much the Christmassy ones. Oh, so I did matte and layer. I couldn't remember if I did, but obviously, yeah, I did matte and layer these onto, again, just some scraps. So, you know, think about all your matte and layer ends, whether it's for your toppers, for your main sort of background piece, or whether it is for your sentiments here as well. Just another great way of using those up. And I just didn't measure anything. I literally just line, and I do this all the time, I line up the edge of sort of my sentiment, my main bit, with the clear guide, and then I just trim that all the way around. So I always line that back up, and then it gives me a really nice even border. And then I'm going to add these with some foam. So I'm using the same foam as in the last one. So this is the Chloe's Creative Cards, and these are the 2mm thick foam, and yeah, I much prefer these to the 3mm that I had. I know I did some projects before I was using the 3mm, and they're just too bulky. I don't really like that much dimension on here. So I'm going to stick them down. So these first, so I'm going to show you sort of, you know, don't think about just putting your sentiments. They can go wherever you want on the card, obviously, but I'm going to show you can either, you know, you have them at the top. This next one now I'm going to do in the middle, and then the one after that I do at the bottom. And then for the rest of them, I kind of go, I don't know, like a third of the way down. But just think about the different placements for your sentiments. You know, you can have it at the bottom if you want. If you've got a smaller sentiment, you can have it coming in, you know, from either the left or the right hand side, at the top or the bottom. You know, you can have fun sort of with the placements. You can see this one's going nearer the bottom, and I bring the 3 back in just to show you exactly what that looks like. depending on where you want it. Again, I come down about somewhere between the first one and the second one, so about a third of the way down. And then really that's these cards finished. I didn't even bother putting any Nuvo drops on these after the video because, to be honest, I felt like it was quite busy already, and I just didn't think they really needed it. But again, I really love these. To me, they're very Christmassy, that sort of patchwork mixture of colours and patterns in there. I just think work really nicely for Christmas. Yeah, it just reminds me of Christmas, really. So yeah, I'm glad I did the DL. I think this gives you really nice sort of variety in here with yeah, these different seeing the different patterns. And again, it doesn't really matter what you do as a whole on your A4 sheet, because once you cut them down, sort of it's going to be random, it's going to be what it is. So we have got a part 3 where I'm going to do a third sort of patchwork style with the scraps, so you can come back and check out that video as well. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. So thanks very much for watching and happy crafting.